going to do a really quick lesson here on a really simple and effective way to add some punch to the way that you're ending your rolls. Now, this lesson is intended more for the beginner to intermediate. If you've been playing drums for a while, there's a good chance you're probably already doing this sort of thing in your playing anyway, but this might serve as a really good reminder and maybe just give you a few ideas on how to apply it in different ways and stuff. But it's just a really simple technique that, especially if you are a little bit newer, will kind of break, a bit of the patterns that maybe you've become used to. So standard roll, 1, 2, 3, 4, starting with right, ending with right on the downbeat and so on. Very, very simple. I mean, I'm really dumbing it down here, but really just to kind of make the point, obviously. All we're going to do is add one extra hit leading with our left. So depending on how you're counting this, if you're counting it as eighth notes, then we would do it on the and 1, or and 3, or and 2, or and whatever. Doesn't really matter. If you're counting it in 16th notes, then it would be the 1, E, and A, 1, 2, 3, whatever it's going to be. So if we're counting it as eighth notes, it would be just really simple like this. It would be just, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. So that's simple. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. Now, for this particular example, we're going to show it in the context of some double kick patterns. So part of the exercise is to get really comfortable with kind of leading this accent or this downbeat with your left side. So you want to be practicing it with both ways. You want to be doing it with just one foot, because it's a really good technique just to practice your doubles. But it's like I said, for the context of this particular example, we're going to show it as a double kick sort of pattern. So you're doing the same thing. Instead of doing it with the one foot, we're going to lead with our left side. So it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. If we were doing 16th notes, then it'd be the same sort of thing. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and something to that effect. I mean, at least to kind of give you the idea. So the key to this is just getting really comfortable and being able to really kind of lead with your left to come down on the power with your right. And obviously, I mean, if you're a left-handed and playing reverse, then it's simply just in reverse. But I remember for myself, even when I was starting out and when I was first trying to get a hold on this particular sort of downbeats and accenting and stuff like that, it was actually kind of tricky. I mean, especially in a double kick sense, and even if you're doing single foot, I mean, just to get those those really quick doubles going and stuff like that tight with your hands. So that's the point of this exercise, is really just to show you an example of how to start using your body in different ways to start now accenting and hit in very different ways. So we're going to go through a couple different examples and just show you in context how we can apply this sort of technique, if you will. So like again, we're totally dumbing it down here, just simply, either eighth notes or 16th notes, just, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2. All sorts of different ways you can apply this. But, I'll get rid of the brushes here and we'll kind of, I'll show you a couple of actual sort of real world examples of how we're going to bring this into your playing. So we'll do kind of that, kind of a slower tempo and then a mid tempo. And then, obviously I said this is, intended more towards the beginner to intermediate drummer, but I want to show you an example of how you can really ramp this up. And, as you progress in your playing, both with your speed and technique, of some really fun ways to take this really super simple, just little twist on how you're doing your rolls to add a lot of impact and punch. So let's go through a few of those.